Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. And don't forget to put on the post notifications. The social medias are listed here. I also have my business page link down in the description box down below. Don't forget to check that out. Okay, let's get into the video. Okay, so you can tell by the title that this video is based on my labor and delivery experience. I want to take you guys on this journey with me, even though I did not introduce myself to people who don't know me, because believe it or not, I got some DMs from you guys asking me questions like, did you have a boy? Did you have a girl? Did you have twins? How was your labor and delivery experience? Like, I literally got DMs on my social media, like on Instagram. People DMing me, hey, I found you from the YouTube. I wanted to ask a couple questions. I was like, oh, snap. Okay, so let me just go ahead and take y'all on this journey. I probably should have started with the introduction, because a lot of people don't know me. So that probably would have been best. We're going to do this, and then I promise you right after this, y'all, we're going to do an introduction video with me, because y'all probably don't know me. Okay, so again, based on the title, you know what this video is about. It is about my labor and delivery experience. So one, my pregnancy was interesting. I was on bed rest again. I had low blood sugar. I was passing out. I was always dehydrated for some reason. I was having contractions, like early contractions in my my whole pregnancy. Not every day, but I had a couple scares, like bad contractions for hours at a time. Like I was going in full blown labor. So I was on bed rest. So I'm gonna say March 3rd, 2019. I was feeling the same way I was feeling, you know, when I had my other contractions that weren't supposed to happen that early. But at this point, I was 37 weeks and about 6 days. So basically 38 weeks. I'm like, I don't know if it's time. Like, I wasn't prepared. Like, I wanted him to come, yes. But, I mean, I guess you're never really prepared for, you know, your baby to come. Like, they usually come when they want to, unless you have a scheduled C-section or whatever. You're not really prepared to mentally know when your baby's coming, believe it or not. So I was having these really bad contractions, and they went away. Okay. So I got up out the bed. Matter of fact, this day I was super duper tired. I didn't even get out the bed till like 2 p.m. Got in the bath. I drank some tea. I didn't even eat anything that day. I was just like not feeling it. I low-key felt a little weird. But I didn't think nothing of it. So I lay back down and contractions start kicking up again. Maybe 2-3 hours later. So I'm like, okay, it's interesting, because usually once I had those set of contractions prior to that actual like labor, like the day I actually went to labor, they would come and they would last for hours, and then they would just leave, and then I wouldn't, you know, feel anything else. But this time it came back. So I was like, okay. When it came, it never left. When I tell you I contracted the whole day, I contracted the whole day. The following day, it got worse. It was intense. It got really, 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 really bad. And I want to say this was either a Sunday or a Monday, where I was like, this is ridiculous. What is going on? And that's when I knew. As I thought about it, I really sat down and thought about that. I was in labor the day before for basically a half a day. I woke up in more intense pain and still having contractions. And they're intense. Like, I'm kind of like bent over in pain. And for me, I have a high pain tolerance. So it didn't really get bad until that Monday. I went to the hospital that Monday. So I want to say that Sunday night before I went to the hospital, I never forget. I was watching Hey Arnold. That's my show, my favorite late night show. I watched Hey Arnold, and I kept thinking, this is not right. Something is not right. Something's going on. I think I'm actually in labor. So I told my mom. I think she was low-key like, yeah, this girl's dramatic. But I told her, I was like, Mom, I've been contracting for like the last 2 days. She was like, I mean, you might be in labor. I mean, just wait it out, because, you know, you ain't screaming. They gonna tell you to come back home anyway. I was like, true. So I just dealt with it, dealt with the pain. But it was to the point where I couldn't sleep. At first, I could sleep through it, but I couldn't even sleep through this. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no, you're in labor. I'm up. My mom comes to check on me, and she's like, it's still up. Usually, like, I'm sleeping before my mom leaves. She gets up at 5, 6 in the morning to go to work and be there by 7:30. And she's like, that's weird, you're up. She's like, you feeling good? I was like, no, I'm not feeling okay. I'm contracting. I've been contracting for 2 days already. And she's like, okay, time them. Okay, I timed them. And I'm telling you, they didn't stop. I'm like, I'm timing them. They last in 10, 15 minutes. And she's like, okay. Call your doctor. I call my doctor and I tell her, I'm like, my contractions are, there's no time apart. They're consistent. I'm having consistent pain. And she was like, yeah, you should go to the hospital. I was like, why are you saying like that? Don't listen to me. Don't say it like that. Like, she sounded unsure. I'm like, please don't do that to me. Please don't. Because you got me scared. So I told her I told my mother what she said. She was like, okay, well, you ready? So I get dressed. All of a sudden, it's like literally a thump in my stomach. And I literally start bawling. And for me, that's crazy because I have a high pain tolerance. I was contracting for 2 days before I even, went into like full. I was like early labor. When I went into full-blown labor, that was it. So I'm bent over. And my mom come in, she's like, oh, you crying? Because she know too, I have a high pain tolerance. So she like, oh, you crying? I'm like, yeah. She like, oh yeah, come on, let's go. We get in the car and I'm so pissed off at my mom. Like, I felt like she couldn't drive any slower. I'm like, you serious right now? I'm in full-blown labor. She's like, I'm driving as fast as I can. It's rush hour. It's early in the morning. And I don't want to hear that. I'm about to have a baby. I don't want to have a baby in your car. So I'm starting to get frustrated. So I start crying again. Because I'm just like, this is too much. I'm literally in pain. Like cramps times 1,000. So we get to the hospital and I pull up to the wrong part of the hospital. Yeah. Pull up to the wrong part of the hospital. Have to get back in the car. Gotta go back. Mind you, this hospital is huge. We have to go back all the way down to the beginning of the street, make a left and a right, and then go to the labor and delivery section. They see me coming in bent over. They already knew, got me a wheelchair, labor and delivery. They asked labor and delivery, and I was like, yeah, labor and delivery. So my mom parked the car. We waited for her. They take me to labor and delivery. Then they put me in the waiting room, and I basically triage. Not labor and delivery, sorry, triage. So they took me to triage. I didn't wait long. I'm thinking, oh my God, please, I don't want to be out in this waiting room. It really was like 2 people in there, but they weren't pregnant. So I sat down and they called me back in 2 minutes. So I'll go back there and they put the straps on you to tell how far your contractions are. And then they checked to see how dilated I was. And that was intense. Yeah, I was crying at that too. I was like, this is too much. I can't deal with it. They're like, well, it doesn't seem like your contractions are stopping. And I'm like, so she's like, okay, well, let me take this off of you and start walking around. So me and my mom started walking around, and I'm getting mad at my mother because she's like, breathe, just breathe. And I don't want to hear that right now. Listen, I'm dealing with it the best way that I know how. Y'all, I'm trying to tell you, when you in pain, consistent gnawing pain, you don't want to hear none of that. Like, she tried to help the best she could. I did listen. I love my child's father, but I didn't want him there. Not yet, at least, because I knew he was going to piss me off, too. I said, don't tell him yet. Don't tell him yet. my contractions I'm not dilated. Matter of fact, I didn't say, when they checked to see how dilated I was only 3 centimeters dilated. So I said, we'll call him. He's not far from the hospital. We'll call him if they send me to labor and delivery. So I ended up walking. They called this code in the hospital because apparently somebody took a child. So they send me back to my room, and they're trying to have me sit in the seat in the bed and keep the straps on me so they can give me something for my pain. Again, me thinking I'm going to go all natural. But when you've been in labor 20, maybe 26 hours prior to actually getting to the hospital, man, no, not 26. Like, it was like, what, 30, 40 something hours before I even got to the hospital. I was in labor. So by this time, I'm irritated. I'm like, listen, I don't want to feel this no more. If my labor was fast, I could deal with it. But I'm like, nah, y'all gonna have to give me something. I wasn't thinking epidural, but y'all gonna have to give me something. But then it got worse. My contractions, like, I felt another thump, and my contractions kicked up. I'm bawling. I am bawling in there. Not to mention, I'm high risk. So they keep coming in there. They keep checking to see how dilated I am. Every time they come in there, I'm another centimeter higher. So I'm like, oh my God. And then the lady comes in, the midwife is like, well, I don't know if they're going to keep you because, you know, you're not really dilated. And I'm like, listen, you're not sending me home. I didn't say that. I just sat there on the bed. Like, at this point, I'm through. I wasn't crying. I was numb. I was just like, this is not happening to me right now. So another lady comes in, and they're looking at my contraction. They're like, yeah, this is, they're looking at my contractions, scratching their head. Yo, and I tell y'all, my whole labor and delivery experience was rare, because my contractions were not stopping. Like, it was up, and it just kept going. Like, you know how they go up, and then they go down, and they go up, and they go down, like telling your contractions. It was just like a consistent line for 10 to 15 minutes at a time, then it'll go down. And my resting periods were like a minute and 30 seconds, and it was like, they eventually said, you know, we can't send her home. So they finally get me into the room. They like running me down the hall and just scaring me, because I'm like, y'all, come on. And everybody's looking at me like, and I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? But I did not know that this whole thing, like with my contractions, was rare. I just thought that was just, I mean, just everybody's body was different. But mine were really, really rare and dangerous because I didn't have a resting period. So my doctor came pretty fast. And even my epidural came pretty fast. I went to the bathroom. The lady told me if I had to, you know, go to number 2, let them know, because that's a sign that the baby's coming. They want to check to see how dilated I am before I do, like, you know, decided I wanted to go ahead and release myself. So I was like, yeah, no, I need an epidural. This is not, nope, I need an epidural. So the guy came in there as soon as I finished using the bathroom. He was in there. I was like, yes. So I read over my contractions. I read over my contract, like the little contract they give you saying they're not liable for if you get paralyzed, and, you know, saying, you know, when you have a baby, you can die, you know, you can have a heart attack, you can bleed out, all that other stuff. So I'm sitting here reading it. I don't sign stuff before I read it. I literally read it in between my contractions. Definitely took an extra 10 to 15 minutes, but I read it, and I'm not signing nothing that I haven't read. So they finally put the epidural in my back, and I'm like, yes. I'm like, oh, yes. No. No. Because 3 to 4 hours later, it wears off to the point where I feel my whole body except for my right leg. My whole body except for my right leg. I told my nurse, y'all, I had a golden nurse. But anyway, I told my nurse, I said, hi. So it seems like I have feeling again. And she's like, did you press the button? And I was like, yeah, I just released it about two minutes ago. And she was like, oh, yeah, sometimes that happens, you know, it kind of wears off. She's an African lady. Yo, I'm telling you, like, She was a golden nurse. I'll get to it though. She's like, yeah, I mean, it kind of happens. And then the contractions moved to my butt. She said, oh, yeah, once it's there, we can't do nothing about that. My contractions moved to my butt. And when I tell you, it was so irritating. Like, it's like I don't want to tell y'all. Y'all gonna be like, I'd rather have dealt with the cramping pain than to have contractions in your behind. And she's like, that's really rare. She was like, yeah, your contractions are interesting. And, everybody seems so uncertain. And I'm like, this is scary. My heart rate was like 160. My heart rate was faster than my baby's. His rate, I had a boy. Yes, I did have a boy. His rate was 140 something. My heart rate was 160. My contractions then eventually stopped completely. They broke my water. My contractions eventually stopped completely. Then they had to give me Pitocin to, kick up my contractions. Then they checked me again, and I was 9.5 centimeters. They unhooked me from everything. That's when everything just rushed. I just got a rush. And I was like, oh my God, it's about to happen. Like, oh my gosh, it is about to happen. I'm about to see my baby boy. And this is why I say I had to go to nurse. Because when the epidural stopped, that meant that, I felt everything. And except for my right leg, I felt everything. So I start pushing. Not much. He pushing again. I'm like, uh-oh. Hold on now. And then he just starts sliding. I said, oh. She said, listen, you can do, like, basically, like, don't give up. Don't lose it. Because I was like, oh, no. Oh, no. I wasn't screaming, but I was like, I can't do this. She literally coached me through that thing. Like, I literally was about to give up. And I was about to say, I don't know how y'all going to get him out. But I'm not pushing him out. I was literally on the verge of being like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Don't I tell you the pain was so intense? I was like, I'm not doing it. And then she was like, don't lose it. You can do it. Push through. Like, I was like, yes, oh my gosh, in my head. And so I was like, okay, I got it. I'll do it. So I pushed. Only took like maybe 5 or 6 pushes. And he was out. Y'all, I bawled like a baby. I was crying like him when he came out. I was so happy. Like, I really did it. I was about to give up. All the emotions came from my pregnancy. I was at home. I was like by myself. I was going through a whole mental thing. Like, so when he came, it was like everything just rushed. Like, everything just came to my head and it was like, it's all worth it. It was all worth it. I laid him on my stomach and I saw him. I was just like, oh my God, my baby. That's all I could say, because you feel them. Like, moms know, you feel them. You talk to them, you feel them move, you see them on ultrasounds, but then it's like nothing like actually having them, like when they come out. That was pretty much it. Like, I had a whole rare labor. I was in labor for, let's say, maybe 49 to 56 hours. At 1:30 in the morning. So I had a baby boy, for those who did ask. One day soon, I'm going to be doing vlogs and stuff with my little baby boy. He'll be 2 soon. He'll be 2 in a couple weeks, actually. Thank you so much for watching my video. Again, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.